it's Arnie Johansson with the Johansson Realty Show. So today I'm here with Justin Haltman with Haltman Construction, and we use Justin a lot because he looks at our properties for our clients, and he helps with inspection items. He does remodels, new builds. Basically, if you need somebody to do any work in your houses, Justin knows how to do it. So I thought it'd be good to bring him in, talk about some of the stuff that we encounter on a daily basis and some of the things that Justin does. So we're going to talk about inspections, first-time home buyers stuff. We're going to talk about remodels, like opening up kitchens, and how, we'll talk about some things where Justin can tell you how to save some money on remodels. And then I think it'd be fun to talk about new builds and the remodels that are getting torn down and then rebuilt over in some of these spots. So why don't we do inspections first? So you do a lot of inspections for us as far as coming in, bidding items, fixing items. Like if you were going to give a first-time home buyer some advice, maybe if, your son or daughter was going to buy a house, in whatever, 15 years or whatever that's going to be. Like, what would you tell them to be concerned about, and what would you tell them not to be concerned about? Like, as far as like something that is fixable and like they shouldn't buy this house.
Yeah. Well, there's inspections and then there's a code compliance and stuff like that cities have you do. There's inspections are really handy. I think everybody should have a house, their home inspected. And the big things to look for is make sure that all the structural and the mechanical are up to date or are strong. You want strong bones in a house so that that's where the big money is if something goes wrong. There is some things that are that seem trivial on those. With life safety, smoke detectors. You want to make sure that all that is up to date and up in the right spot. But I guess get an inspection, go through it. Hire somebody to kind of look at it as well. Talk to the realtor, who they want, or who they use, because some of them are pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Some stuff is really easy, some stuff might be a little more complicated, but you want to make sure that before you go into it, you have a good understanding of what your house, the condition of your house.
Yeah, and so there's like little items like soffit and fascia and like fixing sheetrock or things like that where you're coming in doing fixes like that or like blowing insulation in. Like that stuff's pretty minor usually. Like you said, like big stuff like any cracks in the foundation or like maybe grading issues sometimes we see a lot. But
the big ones are electrical as well.
Electrical.
You get a lot of homeowners that have done their own work. Well, they
the
live there.
Homeowner special.
And you want to make sure that stuff is found before you get into it and can get taken care of before it's an issue.
For sure. So, it's good to go in, get a bid, have it looked at, and then, like, really come up with, like, objective analysis
what
of,
needs
like,
to be done now, what can be wait till later. It's something, as long as they're not code compliant issues, some of the stuff can, wait till later. You can maybe do some sweat equity if they feel like it.
And you don't have to fix everything right away. There's some things that should be fixed, but like every house is going to have some things that
you can always find something wrong with any house.
That's just how it goes. Okay, so that's inspections. Let's talk about like remodels. Like, you've done some work for some of our customers where you've opened up kitchens in some of these like 1920 bungalows, these little houses, or the 1950 Ramblers that are like boxy the old way. A lot of people like are freaked out because they go into them. They're like, oh, this kitchen's too small, and I can't live with it. But really, you can. Really, these houses can be very amazing with some easy fixes. So, how hard is it to, for example, for Will's house, to just take out a wall, open it up? Is that doable?
It's actually really easy. A lot of these older houses are, they did compartmentalize everything. There was hallways, there was bedrooms, there was, a little living room, a little kitchen. There was rooms for everything and doorways and stuff in between. A lot of the walls, aren't bearing. It's getting somebody in there that can go upstairs, up top, look at the truss layout, and some of them, aren't bearing walls, so they can come down really easy. And if it is a bearing wall, it's just a matter of, bracing it up, putting a header across, but you can still get the open space. And that is a huge thing that people are doing right now, is the open concept. opening up the dining room into the kitchen, into the living room, kind of having that free flowing. We'll spend a lot of time in the kitchen and in the living room. So
and that was the thing, because you said like even if it is bearing, you can open it up, put a header in, and if it's not bearing, like you can just open it up. And so like, I mean, on some of these projects, usually when you're opening it up, you're like maybe doing some work in the kitchen or whatever. I know that's an extra cost, but like, say you're just like opening up a wall and gonna finish it off like in a little 1950s house or 1920s bungalow, like generally price range on that.
It all depends on, the biggest thing is the electrical and the flooring. The actual opening it up, putting a header in is minimal. Could be as little as a couple $100, might be $1,000 to $1,500. It's just patching in the flooring and moving some electrical. That's usually the two biggest issues that you run into.
Yeah.
And that it's easy to overcome.
Yeah. And so like even if it's like $3,000 for all that, that's going to have a huge impact because now what happens is that your house is one of the few that is open versus the rest of like the 20 that aren't open. Exactly. And now everybody's going to come to your house. So like just if you go through some of these houses and they are closed off, like don't rule it out. Like come talk to me, come talk to Justin, and
the older houses are compartmentalized. I mean, you have to visually look at it as like, just imagine the wall being out of there because it's pretty easy, in construction to move walls or take walls out. And like I said, it might be just a small header that beam that goes across to support it.
Yeah,
I would really look at it in the big picture.
Yeah, and like anything, that's the thing I've learned from being in construction before is like. They built the house, the people built it, like, you can do pretty much anything you want to a house. Like, it costs money, but you can do anything you want. Okay, cool. So, that's kitchens, opening up stuff, inspections. Let's talk about, like, rebuilds, remodels, new builds. We're seeing a lot of those in South Minneapolis. We're seeing Northeast. I know there's stuff going on in Golden Valley. There's stuff in St. Louis Park. We got stuff in Edina. Like... maybe talk about your experience with that. Like, how do you feel? Like, I mean, what do you like about that?
It's big right now. It's kind of a fine line between remodeling and building. Depending on the size of the remodel that you're going to do, sometimes it might even be more beneficial to tear it down and rebuild. The only thing you're going to benefit by, not tearing down is you're going to keep some of the old school character. You're going to keep kind of some of the, even if you completely redo it, if you drive down the street in, say, St. Louis Park, and you see those little cottagey houses, you can remodel it and still keep some of that charm. Problem is, if you tear down, even if you try and build back the charm, it doesn't have quite the same appeal.
Yeah.
But I think it's more what you're looking for, family size, what you're trying to get out of it. But, we've seen remodels that could have been torn down and redone for $250,000, and they're spending $350 right now just to remodel it. And
so, like, one question that I have, because I'm always looking at the foundations. Like, there's this one in Edina that was nice. It was on like 60th and York, which is a great area, just west of Xerxes. Like, the foundation was like 1,000 square. It was like actually 1,100 square feet. So it was more of like a rectangle. It was on a bigger lot, but like in my head. Like, I could see it. You could just, like, basically wipe that whole thing down, keep that slab, and go up. Like, like, for somebody that's looking to maybe buy right now and live there for, like, 10 to 15 years and then maybe do that in the future because they don't need that house.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that you need to look for in those foundations to say, hey, this is a candidate to actually keep this foundation? Yeah. And are they going to save money by keeping that foundation?
You're going to save a lot of money by keeping the foundation. By not having to dig, some of these cities and stuff require shoring. So if you take out that and you dig a new hole, now you're spending thousands of dollars shoring up so the neighbor's house doesn't collapse into it. You save a lot of money. Biggest thing to look at that is, are you going to finish off that basement later? What would happen if you tore off the house, kept the foundation, but maybe put one extra course of block on it? So then you get a little more head height. In a lot of these Edina, Minneapolis houses, you're sitting at about a 7.5 foot head height.
Yeah.
A lot of people want more head height, which if you tear down to add a course of block is, a lot cheaper than tearing it out and redoing
the whole thing.
And you might run into setback issues. When you tear it down, it might have been in a different, grandfathered in with something else. So you can keep the foundation as long as there isn't horizontal cracks in it. That's bad.
Okay.
A lot of foundations will get step cracks.
So-
But get it inspected. Look, it might not be as bad as you think, but
Yeah.
horizontally, you really have to look at it.
So if you were like on this one in my head, I'm just thinking, what would you say? I know it's totally different for all of them, but like if you're like 1950s Rambler, 1,100 square feet, like already there, like let's just say you don't even add the layer of block and you're just like going up with 2 stories versus like tearing that whole house down, tearing out the foundation,
Just
building
taking
new,
the
and starting from scratch.
taking the roof off and going up with the existing walls.
Yeah, and going up with the existing walls, but like gutting everything on the inside, so you reposition everything so it's open.
Gotcha.
Like, what do you think realistically, ballpark, somebody would save
If you're
versus just tearing down?
you
building
could probably
new?
do a pretty nice, addition on that for, in the 175 to 250, depending on finishes. If you tear out and go up, obviously if you tear it all out, you're probably in the 300 probably minimum in that area.
So you're probably saving at least 50 grand.
50 to 100,000.
There you go. And so that's why it's so important to find, if you're looking for a house, like in some of these areas, I always talk about land value, because the land value is going to, maybe go up, go down, but this area is hot, and it's going to continue to be an attractive place globally. Minneapolis is, just because we have a great city here. So, these are some things that like I like to talk about with like inspections, remodels, new builds. It's my job, I feel, to help educate our clients, so they make the best decisions for themselves and their families. If you need any, if you have any questions about any of this, you can contact Justin. You just shoot me an email. I can give you his email and his phone number. He'd be happy to, give you an estimate on whatever projects you have. And then if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff that we're talking about with regards to real estate, buying or selling in Minneapolis, as you know, please feel free to give me a call. And thanks again for your time. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
No problem.
Yep, we'll see you.